The Toronto Real Estate Board is painting a rosy picture for August, claiming that the slide in real estate prices has halted. And when I saw this and I saw the average home prices, I immediately thought, oh wow, the high-end market must have picked up, bringing up the average sale prices just slightly. But boy, was I wrong. That's not what happened. I'll show you what actually happened in a minute. The definitive guide on how to manage your credit. Product, penalty, price, in that order. It's never been more important to get your mortgage right. All right, so welcome back. In today's Toronto real estate update for September of 2022, I'm going to go through the numbers and show you what's happening in the Toronto real estate market. And what is happening is interesting because it's becoming a tale of two markets. And I think you're going to be surprised by which parts of the Toronto real estate market are actually supporting the overall market, because it was a surprise to me when I saw the numbers. But before we get into all the details, do me that favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and please hit that like button so more people like you can see this video. Oh, and by the way, in case you didn't know already, for about the last 3 or 4 months, this YouTube channel has become available as a podcast. So you can go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, just type in my name, and you will find every single episode available on your favorite podcast app. Oh, and one last thing, the details in today's video point to one thing, and that's that people need to be better educated about buying a home and understanding the market, the data, and everything else. And at the very end of this video, I'm going to talk about what I've created for you in order to make sure that if you're in the process of buying a home in the next 3, 6, 12 months, or even 2 or 3 years down the road, you've got all the information you need in order to make the absolute best decision. So without further ado, let's get into the Toronto Real Estate Board and what's happening there, because like I said, this is a tale of two markets. And what you think might be happening isn't exactly what's happening. And I don't think what's actually happening is getting portrayed very well in the media or by the Toronto Real Estate Board. By the way, Toronto Real Estate Board does a great job with their stats. It's the pieces that they're picking out and the story that they're telling that I think can be improved upon. So let's jump into the news headlines as we always do. First and foremost, Toronto home prices steady in August after sinking from record. The headline here is followed up with the lead, which is Canada's largest real estate market halted in a slide in home prices in August after a bear market-like collapse over the preceding months. Now, there are certain parts of the Toronto real estate market that have not stopped collapsing yet. So you need to understand that before we get any further into here. But before we move on to the parts of the market that are performing well and the ones that aren't, because there is a part of the market that is performing well, I've got to point out this little section here where they talk about what's going on with OSFI, and they basically take a shot at OSFI, encouraging them to relook at the stress test and basically make it easier for people to qualify and reassess everything. And by the way, OSFI is going to relook at the stress test as they have promised to do every December. They probably aren't going to relax it much. And I think that's probably a good thing, because the reality is that the stress test is saving a lot of people here over the last couple of years who bought probably more house that they can afford, but were absolutely made to qualify for an even greater amount so that they could actually withstand things like rising interest rates, which we've seen. So that's just an aside to this whole thing. Trev made this more about what was going on with OSFI than they made it about what's actually happening in their market. Let's take a look at their news release here. Obviously, they talk about the Office of the Superintendent of Financial Institutions quite a bit. These are the people responsible for the stress test. Of course, for insured mortgages, it's handled by the Finance Department, but the Finance Department and OSFI usually work in coordination on this. But here's basically the gist of it. New sales were down 33%, but that's not as big of a slide in sales as it was in the previous months. In fact, if we go over and we take a look at the Trev housing market charts, by the way, I like these. They're done really, really well. What you can see here is this is the monthly sales. And what you can see is that the sales in August were actually higher in July. So what that tells us is that there's growing activity in the market. You see this decline going back from March down to April, down in May, down in June, down in July, and then slightly up in August. But the question is, where is this happening? And that's the whole story here, because like I said, there's two different markets that are leading to the average housing prices basically being slightly up over the previous year. And here's what you can see. You can see that obviously housing prices compared to last year are pretty much flat. You saw the run up here leading into December. Then you saw this leading up to February where we were at pretty much an all-time high. And now you've started to see them come down and flatten out. And pretty much all of the gains from the previous year have been lost. So if you bought a house last year around this time, you're pretty much even compared to where you were last year. If you bought it in February, you're down pretty significantly, probably about 20%. But the question here is which part of the market is performing well? Because you would expect that the high-end part of the market is what's doing really, really well in this scenario. But it's not what's happening. What's happening is we're actually seeing the lower end of the market pick up steam. So in other words, we're seeing one of two things happen. We're seeing buyers getting back into the market because they believe that there's been a big enough reduction in prices that they can get in a deal. Or what we also might be seeing is we might be seeing what we call a move down market, where we're seeing higher end homes being sold in exchange for lower end homes like apartments and condos. So what we're seeing in the Toronto market is we're still seeing a 6-month slide in single family homes, but we're seeing a pickup in multifamily homes. So let me show you what I mean here. If we take a look at, for example, the single family detached and the single family attached prices, this is for August, 1.41 million and 1.079 million. And if we go and we take a look at the same numbers for July, we see that they are actually priced higher, 1.45 million and 1.13 million. So in other words, single family detached and single family attached got less valuable. They continued their slide in the month of August. So the single family higher end markets are continuing to come down. Now, if we take a look at the same thing for townhouses and apartments, check this out. So these are again the July numbers, 873 for townhouses, 755 for apartments. If we look at August, 838 versus 739. So what that tells us is that townhouses seem to be the part of the market that is picking up the most steam. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing the townhouse middle of the market, or I guess lower third, lower quarter of the market, start to pick up steam. And that's what's leading the average home price in Toronto to basically be flat month over month. It's this one segment of the market, which is townhouses, which is the easiest way to not live in an apartment, but live in something that mostly resembles a house and something that would be a good type of home for a family with kids and so on and so forth. And you're seeing this segment of the market pick up. And by the way, the townhouse market, you can typically get closer to amenities. You can typically get closer to downtown areas. And I'm not sure whether or not this is buyers entering the market, or this is people in the single family home market moving into the townhouse market, basically selling their expensive house and moving into something cheaper as interest rates rise. But really what's happening here is that the majority of the market in Toronto, at least in the general area, is still on a downward slide, with the exception of those more easy to afford townhouses. So the townhouse market seems to be in a bit of a boom, which is a telling story. That is telling us that people are moving to more affordable housing. And like I said, you've got either people that are moving from higher end properties to lower end properties, or you've got buyers who are going, okay, now's my chance to get a deal. So I'm going to move in and try to get a townhouse for under $1 million because I can still buy that with basically 7.5% down rather than 20% down. And I'm going to get into this market while I have a chance. So here's the reality. Like the last couple of years have been this scenario where we have seen so many people jump into the market without being fully informed, relying on the realtors, relying on the mortgage brokers, relying on family members. And what my realization is over the last couple of years is that the single biggest opportunity is around education. Obviously, that's what I do here on this YouTube channel, is I try to educate people. But what I realized is that there's no real great resource for people who are entering into buying a home. There's a few books, there's maybe the odd course here and there, but nothing that's complete. So what I did was I put together a home buyer's masterclass, which is designed to make it so that no matter what stage of the process you are in, whether it's early stages or whether it is late stages, whether you're 3 months out or 6 months out or 2 years out, you'll have the information you need exactly when you need it. And what I've done is I've set this up so we're doing it in cohorts. The first one starts September 12th, and we are going to basically walk people through the entire buying process and give them the best information that they could possibly get. In fact, I suspect that some buyers are going to be even more informed than their realtors, because I'm going to use some of the stuff that I learned by running one of the biggest independent real estate companies in Canada, and also by running my mortgage company, and we're putting it into a course that will shift the advantage from the industry to you. And what we've done is we've set it up that it's so reasonably priced that it pretty much just covers the cost of our delivery platform. But in addition to that, to make sure it's totally worth it, if you end up getting your mortgage through Mortgage 360, you can get up to $1,000 credit just for choosing us for your mortgage. So you'll get almost 10 times your money back just by choosing us. But more importantly than that, you're probably going to save several $1,000s by being more informed and being able to make better buying decisions. So we start on September 12th. You have up until September 11th to register. And if you register within 30 minutes of clicking the link for more information, which is in the description below, well, you'll get an extra special price that makes it even more affordable. So if that sounds like it interests you, I'd love to join you on that home buying journey. By the way, that course, unless you get a mortgage through us, is the only way to get access to me for a 15-minute one-on-one call that is only available for the next at least 3 months to our clients and the people in the Home Buyer Masterclass. We'll also have some other opportunities for you to interact one-on-one with me and my team. And I sincerely hope that you allow us to join you on that home buying journey. Oh, and last but not least, if you found this video useful, do me that favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Please hit that like button so more people like you can see this video, and we'll see you on the very next one.